Back in January, I made a video where I talked a little bit about my experience visiting the UK headquarters of the Church of Scientology. Here's what I had to say about it. I've been on this beat longer than you may realize. More than a decade ago, I had the opportunity to accompany my friend, writer Jon Ronson, to Scientology's annual gala at their British headquarters in West Sussex, where they presented an award to some quack who thought that they had discovered the cure for autism or something. It was really creepy and weird. When I filmed that, I couldn't remember exactly what the quack's magical cure for autism was, but a few days after filming, something happened that made me remember exactly what it was in the worst possible way, when a 5-year-old boy was tragically killed by that very same quack cure. Let me start by describing a key aspect of Scientology's teachings in case you don't know. They not only don't believe in psychiatry, but they think that psychiatrists are evil and are out to get them. That may have something to do with the fact that the cult's founder, L. Ron Hubbard, was batshit, to put it kindly. And so accordingly, psychiatrists recommended to his wife that he be institutionalized. 1 year later, he founded his anti-psychiatry cult. Now, obviously, the field of psychiatry is relatively young, and they've done some horrible things during the 20th century. So it wasn't too difficult for Hubbard to convince his adherents to completely reject the entire field. Of course, mental disorders continue to exist, whether you believe in psychiatric treatment or not, and so Scientologists invented or promoted so-called alternatives, like vitamins that do absolutely nothing to treat disorders as serious as schizophrenia. One famous case is Lisa McPherson, a 36-year-old Scientologist who was hospitalized after she took off all her clothes in the middle of a street following a minor car accident. Her fellow cult members removed her from the hospital to prevent her from seeing a psychiatrist and instead locked her away against her will, giving her supplements and sedatives in order to treat her apparent psychosis. 17 days later, they dumped her at a hospital, dead from an apparent embolism. So the Scientologists, like other people who are scared of modern-day medicine, are always on the lookout for a new alternative treatment. And about 15 years ago, they found one, which I got to see live on stage, a hyperbaric chamber to treat autism. Hyperbaric chambers are sealed rooms that allow for air to be pressurized and to control that pressure so that you can set it to be the same as what you would experience at sea level or what you would experience 50 meters underwater or whatever you need. They were originally designed to help out scuba divers. If you dive past a certain depth, you can't just zoom right back up to the surface, or else you risk forming gas bubbles in your body that can cause a number of horrible symptoms and even death in what's known as decompression sickness or the bends. A diver who experiences this can be saved by shoving them into a hyperbaric chamber, where they can go back to the pressure that they were experiencing at their deepest depth, breathe in mostly pure oxygen, and then slowly acclimate to the pressure at sea level. As a scuba diver, I find this conversation, so I'm just going to move on. Over the years, researchers have found that hyperbaric chambers can also help with a few other problems, like certain eye and ear issues that might be caused by pressure, wounds that won't heal, and carbon monoxide poisoning. Unfortunately, in backwater countries like the United States, hyperbaric chambers haven't been well regulated on the federal level, which allows snake oil salesmen to sell them as magical cure-alls to treat everything. And I mean, they really do sell them in every way you can take that term to mean. You can visit a day spa and buy one hyperbaric treatment for your lipedema, or if you have about $5,000, you can just buy your own hyperbaric chamber online and then leave it in the garage and, use it whenever you want. There are a few problems with this lack of regulation. For a start, there's the same problem we see with every quack alternative treatment, which is that some people will forego real treatments for real illnesses to do this, which does nothing. Unethical peddlers of hyperbaric therapy claim that it can cure everything from cancer to HIV and AIDS, meaning that it's inevitable that somebody is going to skip their chemo or stop taking their antiretrovirals. These con artists are also taking money from people who can't necessarily afford it because it's not like it's on an insurance plan. Finally, there are possible negative side effects to hyperbaric chambers, like the development of cataracts or oxygen toxicity due to the administration of pure oxygen, which is supposed to include breaks so that doesn't happen. And that brings me to the ultimate negative side effect: immolation. It's extremely rare, but the administration of pure oxygen under pressure by someone with no training occasionally results in catastrophic explosions, which is what happened recently to remind me of all this bullshit. On January 31st of this year, a 5-year-old boy named Thomas Cooper was undergoing treatment in a hyperbaric chamber at a medical facility outside of Detroit, Michigan, when a spark ignited the room, incinerating the child and leaving his mother with extensive permanent scarring as she tried and failed to pull her son from the chamber. This would be a tragedy even if Thomas was undergoing treatment for a known condition that hyperbaric therapy treats, but he was there for ADHD and sleep apnea. Those are disorders that are easily treated with medication and a CPAP. The facility, called the Oxford Center, still to this day lists dozens of disorders they treat with hyperbaric therapy, and it's astonishing. Anal fissures, cancer, cerebral palsy, dementia, diabetes, epilepsy, fetal alcohol syndrome, heart attack, Lyme disease, pancreatitis, Parkinson's, renal failure, spider bite, and of course, autism. There's no evidence that hyperbaric therapy treats any of those things, but I'll focus on autism because that's the first one that I ever heard of it being used by quacks to treat, and because there have also been a few studies on it. Some of those studies have even found that it was effective. Studies led by Dr. Dan Rossignol, like this one in 2009 that found children with autism who received hyperbaric treatment at 1.3 atmospheres and 24% oxygen for 40 hourly sessions had significant improvements in overall functioning, receptive language, social interaction, eye contact, and sensory/cognitive awareness compared to children who received slightly pressurized room air. Unfortunately, professionals have pointed out that Rossignol failed to institute proper controls in this and his other studies. For instance, among a multitude of problems here, the results were based on subjective reports from the children's parents, and the scale they used to measure the outcomes was only given to the kids after treatment as opposed to given it beforehand as well in order to make sure the kids in the treatment group were the same as those in the control group and just measuring the difference. The sloppiness of the study is odd until you realize that Rossignol runs his own hyperbaric treatment center for autistic children. Weird little conflict of interest there. To date, no proper study has shown any evidence that hyperbaric therapy does anything to help autistic kids or adults. There are a few more infuriating details to this story. First of all, there is an accreditation program for businesses that want to offer hyperbaric therapy through the Undersea and Hyperbaric Medical Society, but there are only a few of those that are accredited in each state because, it costs money to get accredited, and con artists don't want to pay that if they don't have to. Only 2 out of 42 such facilities in Michigan have that accreditation. Instead of requiring that, the FDA simply puts the onus on the customer, the patient, to know and seek out an accredited facility. Additionally, Michigan's Attorney General has stated that Michigan law doesn't require any oversight over the use of hyperbaric chambers. According to USA Today, the Attorney General said her office doesn't have the authority to inspect all the facilities that provide hyperbaric oxygen therapy in the state to ensure they are safely in operation. The Attorney General can only inspect when there is enough probable cause that there are crimes being committed involving hyperbaric chambers. I guess if master criminals use a hyperbaric chamber to rob a bank or something, then they can shut them down. Hey, I have an idea. what if we make it a crime to stuff 5-year-olds into hyperbaric chambers to cure their sleep apnea? And then what if we just look at the publicly available websites for the treatment centers that are offering this, that are admitting that they are treating these conditions with this therapy, and then we can inspect them, confirming that they are offering those quack treatments, and then send them to prison before they kill a kid. Just a thought. And, if you have sleep apnea or whatever, and you think that it might be able to be cured by a hyperbaric chamber, let me just recommend instead you take that money and go get scuba certified. I swear it'll be cheaper. During your treatment, you get to look at pretty fish, and there's a much lower chance that you're going to blow up. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.